Hey,
I'm just gonna
guys.
say that
What's going on?
that intro makes me want to put on a kilt and literally go invade Sweden.
Well, that should have been Scotland last year. I don't want to bring that up.
You don't want to
but-
kill in Sweden. It's a little too cold.
I'm
to kill.
drinking a lot more whiskey.
Hey guys, it is Scotch for Dummies. Welcome to Thursday Night Live.
Happy
Cheers.
Thursday, gentlemen.
Cheers. Happy Thursday to you.
So we have Scotch in our glass right now.
We do.
This is good stuff. We're just kind of a starters. But tonight we're doing something completely different. A little bit of a...
So, what do you call Swedish whiskey? So,
I think they call it whiskey.
Whiskey?
so it's like bourbon or Scotch or Japanese. It's Swedish whiskey.
It's
right?
Swedish whiskey. Yeah.
And there's quite a bit out there, I guess. I'm not too sure on all the other whiskeys out there, but this is one distillery, Mackmyra, that we're going to talk about tonight. And there's some good background information. We just did a review this week. Our first one
of this
When
whiskey.
did it release?
I don't even know.
Tuesday.
Monday or Tuesday.
Monday or
Tuesday, Wednesday.
First review we've put out
It's
in
been a minute.
2022.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
been a minute.
First review for 2022
In
was
February.
Swedish.
But we're back in that wagon. More reviews are going to be coming out on a regular basis, so stay tuned for those. But tonight we're doing something different, Swedish whiskey. I'm excited. You haven't had this yet.
No, I
you
missed the review.
You missed the review. You were
I was,
busy.
I was in the lab until 1:30 in the morning. So
You were working with Dr. Scotch, weren't you?
yes,
Yeah, but
exactly.
he was.
Yeah.
Sean was here for that
It
review.
was.
It was an interesting review. We didn't score it because it's not Scotch, and I mean we've kind of shied away from giving scores to.
I mean, I guess we could have scored it. We did Japanese. We did other
We
whiskeys.
have and
but
we haven't, and then when there's only three of us, I don't know. We didn't.
For
For
put
some
a number
reason,
on
we
it.
didn't do
See,
it.
the math is more difficult than the story.
That's why
We
we
didn't
didn't
have the
do it.
mathematician.
It was too hard. Math is too hard.
But there is some unique stuff about it that it does stand out as different. Definitely when you taste it, and I'm very interested to see your
Yeah.
first impressions. But then we've got these other samples that have come
That's
to
right.
us.
That's right.
Looking forward to those. You did dig up some information, and aside from that, we've got some special guests that
We
have
do.
actually been to the distillery.
So this whole night is kind of brought to you by Wesley and Krista. We're bringing them on the show a little bit. Good friends of the show. Actually, Krista is kind of our content manager and designer, and she's been doing crazy stuff for us. So, but they went there recently and thought about it, and they love the distillery so much. I don't want to steal their thunder, but they brought back some stuff, and they got the information for us. And what's really interesting is if you look at what this distillery in particular is doing compared to like Scotch, single malt Scotch, the story is really cool. Like, I guess they were three college guys and they went over to Scotland and they loved what they had over there. And they kind of brought back some of the ideas and they decided, hey, there's nothing over here. Let's create our own distillery. So
They do follow a lot of the same rules, and I don't think those rules are imparted by an overseeing body like in Scotland.
correct.
Yeah.
They're self-imposed
Yeah.
rules because they want to, they want to
Single
be like
malt whiskey, 3 years in a barrel, like that. Yeah.
Sure, they do use smaller barrels, but they do locally source. So the peat, the grain, the water
water,
is
yeah.
all local, which is kind of cool. So, and you think about where they are located, geography, on the globe, the temperature, the climate is going to be conducive to longer aging.
Yeah,
Um,
I'd be stunned if you could age whiskey that much. But it'd
Well,
be interesting to know.
Interestingly, though, they do. I think they're doing 3 years as their minimum too, but they're using small casks.
That helps. That's the
Right.
difference. That's all there is.
So
in the world.
they don't have to wait as long.
Yeah.
Right. There's more wood to whiskey.
Yeah, surface area to volume is huge.
Thank
That
you.
that thing.
So it's
when
what
you-
That
30,
thing, that
they use
thing.
what 30-liter barrel?
30-liter barrels. Right.
Tiny. Because Scotland they're using 700-liter barrels.
Right.
Right.
Big boys.
All right. Let's pause
Yeah.
for a
So
second.
wait, yeah, let's time out. Let's say hi.
Let's
Is that
say
what you
hi.
wanna
That's
say?
Oh, yeah.
exactly what I was
Thank you.
going
All
to
right.
say.
See all
So-
these folks in here. I want to say hi to everybody.
So we're going to try and interact some more with the chats tonight. So we've got Paul in from Sweden, it looks like. We got Trooper Henry. Good to see you.
Green
Hopefully
Valley.
you're local. Who else we got? Mark?
Francois.
Francois, Bobby J. Bobby J. Oh, it's not even Scotch. Maybe
What?
they're hitting a distillery with him in a few weeks.
It's just called the news.
Hopefully you are.
I'm gonna
Because
tell you,
it is just the news. That's the news, Mike. That's the
That's
news.
just the
buddy.
news. The news is that. Yes.
Hey, Chuck.
BBC.
Chem Rhetoric.
We got Jimmy. He's on as well.
Yeah.
Tom
And I see
Marr.
Pierre from Canada's up there.
Polka
Wait,
Bear. What the heck?
You know what, buddy? I was thinking about you last week. I
we
haven't
missed
talked
that
to you
guy.
in so
We need to have
long.
him on again.
I honestly just want to get together with you on a Zoom call and catch up and see how you're doing, my friend. It's been a long time.
We know what we should do. We should do like a special overseas call with just our overseas friends,
Like
like
Durbin?
3 o'clock during the
Durbin and
day.
Hoagie and
When it's 3 o'clock their time and we're the ones suffering.
We're the
on
ones
crazy-
suffering like at
That's
7 in the
fine.
morning or
You're
something
right. We
like.
should
Oh,
put that
I'm so
together.
tired. We're gonna call you anyway.
It's good to see your name in the chat, Hogue. It really is. I see Leanne. Did you call Scotch on the Bayou?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sean and Tom and Justin and
There's Rich. Old man Scotch.
old man Scott, Cohen,
Wheelhouse Whiskey's on. We got quite a few on the night, gentlemen.
Steve A. Oh, yeah.
I love this.
Alan.
Oh, wait,
Alan.
hang on. What's Hoagie say about
Median
Mackmyra?
sheep. What?
He says all over the place, but generally on a good path, in my
Oh.
humble opinion.
Well,
I honestly
well, I mean, they're
respect your
young,
humble
so,
opinion
well.
too, my friend.
Fairly young, yeah.
Yeah.
It takes a while to find your place.
Martin, what's Martin got to say about Mackmyra?
Mackmyra is just one of a dozen distilleries in Sweden. It's the largest, but first, far from the best. Try Heiko Spirit of Hiven and Smugen.
Yeah, we'll screw that up.
Yeah.
But
Schmoogen.
Great stuff.
you know what? And that's good information. This is the first step into it. We're scratching the surface. And
Largest and
that's
first. That's really interesting. 1999 was the first Swedish distillery.
Yeah.
What do they- what do you guys-
1999 is
what
when
do
they
do for
started.
fun in
Yeah.
Sweden?
Well, and they were big then. I mean, that was when they like first distilled. So
Life
Cool.
must be really good there because if they didn't start distilling whiskey until 1999, that's a lot of good times.
Yeah.
Because why do
Alright.
you create a distillery?
we can try this.
It's your
We
boy.
got some whiskey to drink. Let's get
All right,
going
let's hit
here.
it.
So I think what would be kind of cool is I want to remember this. I'll put my scotch over here on the side. Let's pour this real quick. Let's do a fast review with you
Yes,
and kind
let's
of
do
get
that.
your thoughts on this.
Yep.
Let me
All
clear
right.
that palate.
So while we're doing this, Mark, why don't you read a little bit about what this is? And by the way, before
Okay.
we get going, and I guarantee you she's going to correct me as soon as we get on there. We pronounce this as Stjärnrök, but that's not correct.
That was because
Google
Google
said-
told us that's what it
Google
was.
said that was correct, but it's Stjärnrök.
Yeah,
I don't.
Yeah,
I can
what
see
he said.
Krista's
shaking her
laughing,
head.
but she's
She's
going to
shaking her
tell us
head
in a
in
minute.
the interroom. Yeah, green room.
Stjärnrök. Stjärnrök.
So this is actually
Okay, before.
a non-age statement,
Yeah.
right? There's no age on it, but it's 46.1% ABV. It is finished or matured in ex-bourbon, American oak. And one thing that was interesting, they actually, so it's a combination, if I'm remembering right. So they take some Oloroso and some American bourbon.
On this
barrels.
one?
Yeah.
There's like 8 casks
Yeah,
altogether.
They marry them all together.
There you go. American oak.
American oak, ex Oloroso, and then there's another. What was it?
Cloudberry?
What kind of? Yeah.
Cloudberry too.
Is that what? Yeah. What kind of berry
Yeah.
was it?
Cloudberry?
What the hell is? Yeah.
It's
Handful
a
of
wine.
cloudberry wine seasoned casks. There's a bunch of different whiskeys that they pull together.
Ex-bourbon American oak.
Yes.
One of which I thought was really unique, and I think you're going to find it on the palate. It's
Did you watch the review by any chance?
Mhm.
So, and when I'm
juniper
curious,
smoke.
it's smoked. Yes.
In other words, juniper smoke. They take the peat and they put some juniper sprigs
Woo!
on top of it while they're smoking the grain.
And that makes, I mean, that's just, it's like adding a different layer of seasoning to it, is what you're doing.
Yeah, but albeit before I even put my nose into it, it's not a layer of seasoning that, as a whiskey drinker, I'm expecting.
That's really, it is unique. So
It's a very unique
sweet.
smell. It's Christmas in a glass in the smell.
Yeah,
It's
there's
almost
some
like walking on the-
spiciness.
A malt.
Oh, it's
Christmas.
really like berry, like I guess juniper berries, maybe. I don't know.
I get like an evergreen.
It
There's-
does remind
There's a
me
lot of forest going on in the nose.
Yes, green forest. Not so much a pine.
like
but-
grapes.
No, it's like going through a forest
Like a
and
red
you've got
grape.
some berries and other things. Kind of just hints of that everywhere.
It makes me want to go on a small adventure and get some what kind of berries? Cloudberry,
Cloudberry.
and see what they
I
taste
think we're
like.
going to hear about that in a little bit because they got some background information on that.
But to me, remember 6 years ago when we started drinking whiskey and Sean kept saying marzipan, and we're like, what the hell's marzipan? And then he brought some marzipan and we actually
Wow.
tasted it. We're like, okay, sure. I think I need to taste a cloudberry.
So interestingly, what I get this time that I did not get last time is I get a little bit more of the peat and a little bit of heath bar
Yeah, I was getting like a fudge brownie. There's a chocolate in there that is
Did you say
totally
Heath bar?
flowing through that.
A toffee,
Yep.
chocolate, and a hint of peat that I didn't have before. It's
No,
actually pretty good.
It's kind of a nice middle wood smoke. It's not like acrid.
It's not strong at all.
It's not acrid. It's not too sweet. It's just like it's like almost like you smell the wood itself before you burn it. I mean, it's
the finish is. I mean, when we first opened this, obviously it's got some time now to oxidate a little bit. So I think it's actually opened up a little bit more just from sitting in the bottle. I don't remember that peat as much.
that's really tasty.
So when I pour a little bit in my hand, I get your heat.
You get the heat?
I do. It almost has
I
love Heath bars,
a wee
man.
bit of a
So
cedar
good.
smell. But it's
Like when I go to Dairy Queen, it's a Heath bar.
I can see why you're saying heat. Because at first I thought it was cedar.
Is this non-chill filter? Do we know?
Yes,
I think
non-chill
it is.
filtered and no
Okay.
coloring. I'm almost positive I saw that somewhere
I
on
think
here.
I
Hang
did
on.
too.
This is a tasty whiskey. So it is. The reason I ask is it tasted real crisp and not like heavy and like thick like you might have if it's non-chill filtered. But it is non-chill filtered, so that surprises me a little bit.
It actually
I
has
gotta
quite
make
a
sure.
bit
Hang on,
of
bud.
flavor going on there. But the one thing I will say about it is that it has this kind of blaring palate flavor, or I don't know if it's a juniper or something. It's kind of a bitterness or something. It's kind of like I'm used to having that kind of in the back, but it's like right up front, and I don't know what that is. Now, I think you even mentioned it last time, like acetone. It's not that, but it's got to be the juniper.
There's lots of tannins on that.
Maybe it's a cloudberry. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's a cloudberry.
So as I did kind of the whole mouthfeel version of the tasting, immediately like dried my palate instantly, and I got a lot of tannin in it.
That's the word I think you
So-
for.
I don't know what that is.
Anise?
No, that's like licorice.
Yep.
No, it might be then.
No, I'm not getting that.
It might be. It might
I
be
mean, a little bit, but
tones of that.
so it is interesting. Kind of a drying palate when you flood your mouth with it. I'm enjoying this. This is a whiskey you could sip any day, I think. I mean, it's more winter maybe, but
I think it's a winter whiskey. I'd have a hard time drinking it like on a hot day or anything like that, or not drinking hot whiskey anyway. But I think this is. I mean, it has some potential to it. It actually does have quite a bit going on.
I'm getting a lot of new oak in it too now.
Yeah.
I mean, I give them credit.
Yeah,
When you
I
read
agree
what
with
they're trying to do, it's like driven by curiosity and desire to experiment. So putting some juniper figs on top of the
Why
peat
not?
is definitely going to be
Might as well
experimenting a
try
little bit. And if you've ever gone to their website and you read about their distillery and take their virtual tour and just pan around, because it's one of those 360, I mean, they really are prideful about their location, which literally is in the middle of the forest. And I
Yeah.
swear to God, that's
Well,
what you get in a glass.
all this stuff is probably from there,
right.
You know?
I mean, see, it does taste like the distillery looks.
Well, and I read that they're close to the Baltic Sea, so you're getting all that coming in as well. I mean, they're actually almost fairly familiar to the Scottish. What?
How do you grow barley in the middle of a forest? I'm not sure.
I'm not talking about
I'm not
the
sure
barley.
about-
I'm not sure about
itself,
the
but I'm
barley,
talking about when
but
you look at the
other
location and you
ingredients.
walked around that distillery, the smells and the feel that you had is in this
It
glass.
does.
Why do you feel like you're walking through Lord of the Rings distillery or something?
Either
So
that or
it
the
is-
Ardennes forest, and I'm getting ready to get shelled by the Germans. I mean, for God's sake.
Okay, it's totally like that. So
What do you think?
I don't get a lot of smoke. It's there, but it's just really subtle and balanced well with the wood and the sweetness. It's fairly well balanced. I think it's a good whiskey. I would drink
Put
it.
some water on it. It
Oh,
changed
that's
dramatically for me on water.
Let's let the dram cam come in here and take a look at what's going on.
That's what we're drinking.
Yeah.
Ooh, the dram cam.
So
I'm going to put a couple drops on it because I know a few drops of water really changed the glass when we reviewed it for me. It brought out a lot of sweetness. It brought that oak forward to me is what it did.
It definitely is.
Now, I know
Decent
that's
color,
pretty
too.
common
Oh, there's
amongst
a Rosa
whiskeys.
coming through now. Oh yeah, definitely get the sherry coming.
I couldn't find out if it was non-chill filtered and natural coloring. I swear I read that somewhere though.
I think you like this one.
I do.
Now, is it in that peat wheelhouse that you like?
Barely.
Barely, right?
So it's got lots of flavor layers, which I kind of like. There's sweetness, there's oak, there's a little bit of peat. I'm not getting the juniper per se, but it may be just part of those layers that are just going well together. I think it's well balanced. There's nothing that's overpowering. There's definitely no off flavors. I would give us a pretty good score if we were scoring whiskey. So
I think the palate is much better than the nose, personally. The nose is just like it doesn't like come off like a super big whiskey to me.
I would agree. The nose,
there's something. I think the juniper or something else is going on with that. But it's the palate actually has quite a bit of robust flavors going on with it. So it's very interesting. I would probably score this, at least a 2.5 or something like that.
That's probably where I'm thinking. I honestly, I'm in tune with our review.
I don't know how much it costs, $75 or something maybe.
I like it better with the water. I think the water makes it more enjoyable to me.
So interesting. So we got your take on it now. Mm-hmm. So Sean also, I think, is kind of right there with us. So we all agree that this is a pretty good bottle.
I'd put it higher than 2.5.
For our first bottle of Swedish whiskey,
of breaking into that market,
pretty good,
right?
Yeah, I put that in a can and drink it, sip it on nights. Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely.
For sure. Yep. Absolutely.
You say 70?
I think it's
USD.
I don't remember.
Here's something that's interesting to say before we bring in our guests. What I do know upon reading this is because their distillery is in Sweden, it's kind of hard to get. You can't even buy this whiskey at the distillery because of their local laws. You have to buy it through the government. They do have a couple of dunnage houses where they're aging whiskey now outside of Sweden, like let's say Germany, that might be able to open up some logistics chains for them. But nevertheless, it's not something that I think you can find on your local shelf, which makes it hard. It's difficult, and it's going to be difficult for them as a company. If they want to succeed, they'll find ways around that, I'm sure. But not saying you won't ever see it in any of your shelves, no matter where you are. I'm just saying you're not going to see a bunch of it in all shelves because of their restrictions that they're fighting.
Yeah, that's good. All right.
So we've got guests that brought this bottle over from Sweden. That's how we got it. I just told you how hard it is to get this stuff.
That's an expensive bottle if you paid for shipping.
And they brought it back on the plane with them, and they sent us these samples. Now we've got 3 other Mackmyras, right?
Mm-hmm. So I think what the best thing to do is let's get the guests on, introduce themselves, talk about their story. We've got some pictures to share with the story, and then I want to get into these bottles. They have the same bottles; they're going to drink with us, and let's kind of do a little tasting all together. Does it sound good?
Yep. Yeah, I definitely want to get their perspective on the actual distillery because, folks, if you don't know anything about it, it's a really cool distillery. They're doing things different there, and they've won a lot of awards because of their ingenuity and the way they are doing it.
The Gravity distillery is pretty cool. So pretty cool.
All right, anywho,
let's bring them on. You guys ready? Here we are. Boom.
Hello.
Hey.
Now they're there. How are you guys? How are you guys?
All right, so you got to introduce
much better now. Thank you.
Much better now.
Yeah, we're doing well. We're doing good. How about you guys? You doing well? Looks like you're doing well, right?
You're doing great with all the whiskey you've provided. So you said introduce our guests.
Yes.
All right.
Tell their story.
So,
or do they let them tell their story?
Well, it's Wes and Krista, and they have been involved with Scotch for Dummies now for a while. Wes has been around for a little bit longer, and we've kind of. We've got him hook, line, and sinker into the Scotch world. But Krista has actually joined the crew, and she's
part of the Dummies.
Kind of part of the Dummies in the background.
She's our 5th dummy.
Yeah, she doesn't have to wear all the gear and be claimed a dummy, but she's helping the dummies be not so dumb.
If you look at our website, look at some of the recent media, the branding, even the latest review, this is all Krista. Mm-hmm. So kudos.
So when they were going to Sweden, first of all, I'm glad you guys made it. How long was that trip planned? COVID kind of delayed it.
Oh, we had to push it back a bunch of times, and we just made it in. They kind of tightened their border restrictions again, shortly after we arrived. So the time worked out.
I mean, it actually was serendipitous. You guys got in at the right time, had a wonderful vacation, really cool things that you guys did, and then got home and things changed again yet, right? So, I mean, if you wanted to turn around and go a week later, probably wasn't happening.
Yeah, when we got back, the U.S. closed the border to travelers from Sweden 2 days after we got back. So we had good times on both ends.
Wow.
I'm guessing you have PTSD from all the swabbing you've had in the last few weeks.
We're world pros at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And before we get into the whiskey portion of it, there's something else. You guys went over just boyfriend and
Just for
girlfriend
the fun of it?
and came home different.
So
Yeah.
I got a question. Was this is a plan, right, Wiz? I mean, no one else knew what was going on.
No one else knew. I couldn't have planned it better myself, really, either.
Yeah, for all you guys that don't know, he got lucky and was
Yeah.
able to catch her at the right time with the northern lights in the sky.
Amazing
God.
picture.
I mean, some people do it at like ball games and have it put on the big thing. He nailed it out of the park.
Like that's like one of those things where like, oh, that's a pie in the sky
Yeah.
thing right there. So,
Well-
cheers, welcome, and
well played.
congratulations.
Cheers.
Cool.
Yeah, so let's get into the trip. Let's talk about why you even went, and then what made you think about going to Mackmyra, and where do you guys fall on that? Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so I have family over in Sweden. My grandmother lives in Sweden in Nos, which is about 3.5, 4 hours away from Stockholm. And I hadn't seen my grandmother in probably 20 plus years. And so it was really important as she's getting older in age, that we were able to go and visit her. My sister and her husband had gone literally just before COVID started. Like the week they came back, 2 days later, they ended up getting an email from their airline saying there was a case of, COVID and you need to get tested. And it was a whole issue overall. And then, trying to get there was a huge pain. We had this trip planned for 2.5 years, maybe 3 years. We had postponed it 3, maybe 4 times. But in the end, it was really nice to finally get over to Sweden and to, see the country that my family comes from, and to see my family, meet all of my family members that I have never met before. And it was a lot of fun. And we noticed prior to leaving, just prior to that, we had at least one viewer that is in Sweden. And so we had planned on, meeting up with him at Mackmyra and then trying to, go through the tour and whatnot. But unfortunately, it just wasn't able to happen.
Nothing bad, just
No, yeah.
restrictions in place in general.
Right. Yeah, I get it.
Trying to be safe and careful for everyone, including our loved ones. And it was around the holidays too, right? So we had originally had plans to spend Christmas and whatnot with our family, and even that didn't happen. So, but we were blessed, and we were able to take a tour through Mackmyra, and we met the operations manager, Frederick. He was fantastic. I walked into the tour, not a peat lover at all. Smoky whiskeys and scotches, they didn't do it for me. And I left the tasting and I left the tour a complete believer in peat and smoky whiskeys. I'll put it that way.
Wow.
Changed us.
Well, you actually were already into peat a little bit, Wesley.
Oh, yeah,
I
I
know.
Yeah, the Ardbegs. And
I know that you are adverse. And dove into it, and you're already a Scotch lover, and some heavy peated whiskey. So I wasn't so much worried about you going in there and being, scared away. Obviously, but was it peated enough for you?
Yeah, and it wasn't their most peated product. And it's kind of interesting what they do there too, is they don't quite measure it like other distilleries or Scottish, Scotch, where it's however many parts per million, stuff like that. They kind of cap it based on the amount of grain they smoke. But after that, it's really up to the flavor and the human element. So they don't measure the parts per million like a lot of other places do.
I read that. It is completely
sense,
different,
yeah.
which is, that's cool.
Yeah, that makes sense, because when you measure peat, you measure it before you distill it. You
Right.
measure it in the grain part, and there's so many factors that can go into that from there. So the fact that they measure it and they create the whiskey based on flavor, the number's unimportant. Really, it is.
I agree with you, because how many whiskeys have we had that brag about, 150 birds per million? You're like, oh, this is going to be a banger. And you're like, something got lost in the sauce. It's not
Yeah.
there.
they cut. It was either in the heads or the tails that they cut out most of the flavor.
Yeah, they cut it all out. DBSG, couldn't say it any better. Thank you.
Perfect.
Cheers.
Yes.
Cheers. Thank you so much.
I need a new whiskey.
Well, I'm out of whiskey too, so let's do this. If you guys are ready, why don't we take a look at? I'm actually really interested in the next 3 selections you have, especially yellow, because it feels like yellow is kind of like their de facto and kind of like the most similar to Scotch that we're going to have tonight. And then so once we do yellow, we're definitely going to need to streamline this real quick. But I also want to have some time, maybe after we taste yellow, to go through some of the pictures, and you guys can walk us through your tour.
Yeah, definitely.
Sure.
So first question, how do you pronounce Star Smoke?
Stjärnrök.
Stjärnrök.
That's strong.
Yeah, got a bit of a Sean Connery in there, and
Stjärnrök.
Shaken, not stirred. That's pretty
great.
good, Wesley.
All right, so
Of course you would say that.
But we are going to do the Brook whiskey.
Let me give
right?
some water in here. Yep.
Right,
Can you talk us through this a little bit?
yeah, this is kind of one of their main products. Interestingly enough, when we were there, it was just before Christmas. So the Stjärnrök that you had and that you reviewed, that was a lot more prevalent on the shelf. And you guys talked about, notes of Christmas and stuff like that. But this one is kind of one of their main products that they put out, one of their core elements.
So this is kind of like, is this like their top seller, would you say?
I don't have any numbers on their top,
Okay.
if it's the top seller or not, but it is one of their more popular ones.
we have-
Whiskey done in the Scottish style, but with the Swedish twist to it.
I was going to say, do you have the stats on it? Is there an age statement?
It's 3 years, I think.
Yeah, they're all going to be at least 3.5 years, but it doesn't have an age statement on it specifically.
Okay.
Okay.
So the website says that the result of 13 years of maturation is finally here. Brooks Whiskey Vintage 2008.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's what I'm confused about. So it says the result of 13 years of maturation. I'd like to know what that means. 41%, 41.4% ABV. If you've got the website pulled up, Krista, I'm curious, both on this and the first one that we tried. Do they use coloring? Do they use natural? Is it non-chill filtered? Or?
No coloring.
Thank you. I needed that confirmed.
This one's 41% ABV, so I would be surprised. Do they not chill filter it?
It almost would have to be at 41.4.
I would think so, too.
Well, we'll see. When we add water, we'll see if it changes.
Oh yeah,
if it gets
does this
cloudy.
cloud up when you put a couple drops on it? Because
Okay, so from a nose perspective, it's light, but man, it does resemble Scotch. Actually,
It does.
Oh,
It's a single
smells
malt.
sweet.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it reminds me of like Glenmorangie, or I mean, it's a light, fruity whiskey.
It's like a Glenfiddich or Glenmorangie, or
Yeah, it's light.
it's a very light.
But
like
It has some fruit notes to it, though.
like apples and pears kind
Mhm.
of thing, not like heavy, deep ruby fruits. Tasty.
I think you're spot on with apples and pears. I mean, that's exactly what I'm getting on the nose. Some honey. What do you guys get on this one? Are you tasting it as well?
Yeah, a little bit of vanilla for me.
Yep.
yeah, oh yeah, I get vanilla tapioca, maybe cotton candy, which is just that oak.
Yeah, that's the
Some
thing.
tapioca.
So I tend to miss the barrel influence on the nose for like the vanillas and those kind of things, unless I'm getting like the oak wood flavor.
Yeah, I mean, it says right here, according to the notes that they provide, concentrated vanillas, citrus,
getting
pears,
pears, too.
caramel,
Tropical
tropical fruits, honey.
I
good.
got citrus and honeycomb. Those are pretty
Good.
prevalent things to me.
We align with the
Yeah.
tasting notes because I didn't read those tasting notes.
It's
before.
funny though, all three of our noses are pulling out different parts of those tasting notes.
Well,
Right?
that's the beauty of three of us.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, first sip.
Okay.
Very
First sip.
very light okay, what is that? That is
So not.
that's different.
It's the taste of Sweden.
I mean, it is super short. Like the finish is cut. But there's like I don't know what that is.
Mm.
It's almost, I wanted to say licorice, but it's not licorice. It's something else. It skyrocketed when I first tasted it.
Okay, so I actually get on
It's
the
like
back
burning.
on the end of the back side of the palate. So pre-finished, right? Because I get a lemon rind.
I'm getting like barley grain. That's like the first palate that
Yeah.
comes through my mouth is like fresh grain. I mean, not like
Yeah, a
grain
little
whiskey.
bit of citrus on the end.
Mm-hmm.
You are getting that citrus on the end, Wesley?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tamar.
There's
I
definitely
like-
some IKEA on the nose. Tapioca.
Oh, Tom, you're always a good addition.
So it
So now,
is short.
Now
It is-
I'm getting oaky on the nose now. I'm getting the barrel.
after that sip,
Yep.
now it's coming through on your nose.
Yep.
Okay, and your sinus, right? That makes sense. But so when you say oaky, are you getting vanilla? Are you getting the sugar from the oak? Or are you getting like a oak wood?
Like a fresh vanilla oak.
Okay.
I mean, so it's like they haven't even charred the barrels. It's like they just machined it. It's like the sawdust.
Yeah,
But it's real subtle.
Yes.
So it's not overpowering.
yes.
It's just a balanced flavor that's in there of the oak.
And with a heavy nutmeg or some kind of allspice. There's something
Yeah.
there that's really prevalent on top of that sawdust.
Mhm.
So now on the nose, to go with that lemon rind that I was telling you
Yeah,
about,
lemon's
Wes,
there too now.
on the nose, I get lemon, but it's almost, it's not like fresh lemon. It's like lemon air freshener. So it's almost like an artificial
Ooh,
lemon.
that's not
You spray lemon pledge or something. It's got that lemony scent. It's almost, it doesn't smell like the rind, because that's what I tasted on the palate was lemon rind. So it's a little bit.
So I will agree with you and say it's not malty. It's more grainy to me than it is malty.
Yeah.
Well,
I agree.
it tastes
You're-
like.
Okay.
Go ahead. What do you get, Krista?
I was going to say it is a little bit briny. It does have like I don't know. It's very hard to describe. I do get those tropical fruits, but I also get like a little touch of like a spice to it. And I know that anise is in this one, or it's part of the flavor profile, right? As well as Stjärnrök. Stjärnrök? You might say it, okay?
I love it that Wesley pronounces it better than you do.
He practices the Swedish far more than I do. Let's be real. But in any case, so there is anise in both of the profiles. I do pick up a little bit on that, but it's more of like I don't know. I get like it's almost like a tobacco-y, and I know that is part of the taste profile, the flavor profile.
See you, Ronan.
Yeah. Thanks, Ronan.
Thanks, Ronan.
Thank
That's
you,
that's
Ronan.
Wesley right there.
It is,
He is our
it is
boy.
quite briny to me as well.
I agree. It's definitely brinier in it's interesting. It's the briny and
Oh,
citrus
yes.
notes are really prevalent. Like they're very strong.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's not like this is an interesting dram. I don't know if you would call this a taste of Sweden, but it's definitely like I'm not sure if I would call this an everyday dram, but it's interesting. It's a unique taste.
Well, so I would tell you that this is a much lighter, almost the base whiskey for the distillery.
almost new make.
The Stjärnrök is way better, way more layers,
Absolutely.
way more interesting,
Yes,
better flavors, better dimension, all that kind of stuff. This
you
is
disagree.
like this is base whiskey.
I won't disagree with what he just said about it. I like this better than that.
Well,
that's
I don't
fair.
disagree, but I think his point is this is more like a Dalmore, not trying to equate to Dalmore King,
Right.
but it's
This
kind of
is
equivalent.
definitely they experimented. This one's got a mixture, and I hate to use the word mixture, so I don't want to throw anybody off that doesn't understand what single malt means, right? And blending and whatnot. But this one's got a ton more different casks coming.
Oh, it
into
does. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
you can taste
and this
that.
one, yes,
Yeah,
I
absolutely,
actually
yes.
appreciate the simplicity of this whiskey.
It is a good. I'm not saying it's bad.
Yeah, it's a stable. It's a foundation.
It is.
Yep.
It tastes.
base.
It tastes probably like the
Base is
distillery.
good.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is their new make. This is their base core
This is their
whiskey,
core.
and this is where they bring everything out of. And so it'll be interesting to try these other ones to see if we get this
So
in everything else.
yeah, let me ask you before we go away from this one, you guys. The orange and the green ones that you guys have here, do these have different finishes, different maturations?
They're definitely different finishes. I'm not sure of the maturation, but I can take a quick peek.
Yeah, so the orange one's got Swedish oak. And then the green is, it doesn't say. I'm just curious because I want to know I'm trying to prepare myself for the differences. I want to know which one of these is going to be the closest to their base distilling.
I would say this one.
Yeah, the one you just had, and then the orange one also.
Yeah, the yellow one is certainly the lightest of the ones that we sent you. It is much more closer to their base, like their core taste profile overall. The orange one is going to take you on a different path, a different journey, which is really nice actually, and it finishes really, really low.
Okay.
Let me try that one again 10 times fast.
When we're saying orange, we call it orange because
The label is
the
orange.
label is pretty orange.
Yeah.
Svensk.
So hang on a second before we get into this. So did you guys have an opportunity to taste the new make off the still?
No, we didn't.
No.
We were able to smell it, and if we do go through the photos later, you'll be able to see Wesley go through the smelling process of the new make, and then as it goes through the entire journey, from when it first comes off, and then they refine it again, and then they refine it the third time, and that's when it starts to get, matured. It moves into the cask, that kind of thing. So this is just some imagery from the outside of the distillery. These are barrels that they had outside.
So did you Photoshop the snow in, or?
No.
I'm kidding.
I also use this in the intro, so
I saw it. It was wonderful.
Oh shit.
these are great photos. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I'm sure
they are good
Mackmyra
photos.
should pay you royalty fees for these.
Yeah, they're gonna want copies of these.
Because I can't believe they actually store it outside. That must be like they're empty.
Well,
barrels.
they actually don't. So
No, that was part of like a
just like a display.
patio gathering area where they have.
Yeah.
Oh, so more
Yeah.
for look and feel. Yeah.
Right. So the photos that we're moving into now, we're actually going backwards through the process here, but that's totally fine. The photos that we're looking at now, I know, sorry, Drew, this is on me. Well, it's fine. But the photos that we're looking at now, they actually house all of their barrels in pretty much like cement bunkers, at least in Sweden. A lot of these bunkers or these storage units are cement based. They are underground so that they can stay chilled. And they actually told us, this is the front face of one of the barrels. One of the things that they said in terms of photographing the barrels was that we couldn't photograph them head on except for this one. The one that was, yeah. The only reason is because they want to keep their clients' privacy.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Sure, that makes sense.
Yeah, we had that at.
Right.
Yeah,
So
that's pretty common.
right, but we were able to take pictures of the aisle going downwards. This is just one of many rooms in this bunker, and it was incredible. He told us a story. Frederick told us a story about how there was a tour that came through. And it was on. It was like a series of like buses, right? They had a big group of people come through for a tour, and the bus driver decided to join them for the back half of the tour. And this is, or the ending back half of the tour. And so in Sweden, for bus drivers, you have to be able to take blow into this unit inside of the vehicle, so you know whether or not you can start the vehicle, right? He was in this. He didn't drink any alcohol whatsoever. He was in this bunker, and he actually couldn't start the bus after drinking.
Yeah, just from breathing in the fumes.
Just from breathing in the fumes. That's how concentrated it is. So this is now starting to move into the pee and how they smoke their pee as well. yes, they do overlay juniper, fresh juniper, which all of the ingredients in Mackmyra come 100% from Mackmyra within, what is it? Like
Within an
An
hour.
hour away,
an
right?
hour's drive.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's incredible. But so this is what the peat pellets look like pre-burn or pre-smoke, I guess. And they stack it into this furnace or this kiln, which is on the left side of that door that you just saw. And it's they layer it down below with wood underneath, and then they have juniper leaves on top. It's really, really cool.
So is this that's the smoker right there?
No, so
That's the grain floor.
Yep, that's the green floor. So they let it sit here for a few days prior to bringing it into the distillery.
All right, so we're reversing this. Okay, this is the distillery. This is the
8 stories tall.
It's huge, and it's so cool.
That's badass.
So are those the grain silos?
Yeah,
Are
so
those-
there's 2 grain silos. There's one that is like a normal grain, and then the other one is peated. And they actually, the way they do it is they bring it up in the lift, and it goes all the way to the top. And they only distill one type at a time. They have to, right? Because otherwise you would get mixed flavor profiles. But they would bring them up in either one. So only one silo is active at any given time. And then they bring it all the way to the top where it shakes. There's a shaker at the very top. You can move up. It's going to start from the bottom again, but it'll go to they bring it all the way up to the top. And then they shake it out and it comes all the way down, which is really cool, all the way through the gravity process. So it shakes out the twigs, the leaves, and all of the brush.
That's what I'm talking about. Look at that.
Yeah. This is where the new make
That's a
comes
spirit
out.
safe, baby.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And I can't tell. It was amazing. The smells here were so wonderful.
I'm sure the new make and all that fun stuff you're giving me, the smells are just amazing.
It was
I could do that job.
Ah,
I'd be pissed all the time, but I could do it.
So that looks like new make right there.
Yeah. So why
These are
is it?
different variations of the new make.
Was
as
there
they go
rules or laws that they couldn't? Because most distilleries that I've ever been to, you're at least able to taste the new make on your tongue. I mean, you're not sitting around taking big drinks of it, but it really is interesting to taste that new make. There's something about it.
okay. So what's Svans?
Is that Frederick?
Yep,
That
that's
is Frederick.
Yeah.
Hey, Frederick.
And what's
You can touch
Svans?
it, sweetheart.
What's Swans?
That new make?
Spawns is the middle of the process. Raspit is, I'm pronouncing this all wrong. I apologize to all of our Swedish viewers. I'm so sorry. But the raspit is the end of the process. Spawns
Okay.
is the middle of the process, and then
That's
this is
the
the very beginning of the process.
Right.
So when it comes out, it gets run through like 2 or 3 times to get down to the new make before it gets stored in the cask.
Oh, yeah. They have a wash and a, yeah. Okay.
I'm speeding through these now. We gotta get back to wisdom.
Stills.
Get back to some
So we
whiskey.
got the stills, onion shape, typical, but
Yeah.
but no onion on the spout. It's typical
Yep.
shape whiskey.
It's a mash.
No, but what makes this interesting is the building is very vertical, 8 stories, as Wes said, and the process starts at the top. And as opposed to having to use pumps to move liquid from various containers, whether it's the washback or whatever, it's all gravity.
All gravity.
Yeah, I look
So-
forward to talking to Frederick about that because pumps don't take that much energy. The energy in a distillery is the still and the water to clean everything. So I'm interested in talking to him. So we're gonna have Frederick on hopefully in the next month or so.
We're
Yeah,
working
Talk
on
through
it.
some of that.
We're gonna have him on the show.
Chris is on that.
The key with that is I work in a manufacturing plant.
Mark.
Energy is cheap.
This is your.
No, but I'm not in Sweden, and energy is much more expensive in Sweden. So
Yeah.
that's why
It
I'm
is.
really interested in talking about that. I just don't understand. I'm not going to question. I'm not going to doubt him. I just want to
No, I
understand.
mean they
what-
won awards for it.
Well,
right,
exactly. That's what how do you win awards for this? Because
See-
you got this now. You got all the surface area on the building that you got to heat because it's cold, and you got all this glass that you're heating through too.
But
So
think about this: you could
just saying.
learn and take it back to Lily.
I
and
know,
make-
that's what I'm saying. But I'm
anyway.
just saying. All right.
So,
Okay, Joel, we will.
Cheers, Joel.
Thank you so
Take-
much.
Thank you so much.
oh wait,
Joel.
don't drink
No,
the.
no,
Oh, wait,
I'm not
wait,
gonna drink it
we're
yet.
trying
I'm
this,
gonna
right?
smell it.
I'll drink my
All
Scotch.
right. So we are
too.
on Svensk Ek, right?
Pronounce this
Yeah,
again.
Swedish oak, Svensk Ek.
So before I put my nose on this, I was reading it up. One thing that I'm excited about: Swedish oak creates a firm, spicy flavor.
Totally the spice.
This is the closest to a Scotch resemblance that I've had
I
It
yet.
don't know.
says Swedish oak has spicy character of sandalwood, dried ginger, black
Well,
pepper.
now you're coloring our flavor. 'Cause
I'm
I didn't
just
read that
saying-
before.
To me, when I
So-
read that, I don't know
Yeah.
what Swedish oak has. I know what
Forget all
Spanish
that.
oak
Forget
does.
all that. I'm getting balsa. I'm getting oak. I'm getting oranges.
I get oranges.
I'm getting.
Oranges.
Yeah, I'm getting like a
Oranges.
little cinnamon.
There is a little hint of cinnamon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm definitely getting cinnamon on
The nose is great. I love this nose.
it. Yeah.
This nose is wonderful.
Yeah,
This
this
is a great nose.
This one kind
There's
of
maltiness to it.
has a little bit more of a robust profile for me, at least, in terms of like it's kind of like I know they talk a lot about like toffee and stuff like that, and it does have like that nice, well-rounded like nosing to it, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Yeah, I get a
I
little
agree.
citrus.
Right, but the thing that sticks out to me the most here is the pear. I smell a lot of pear.
There is some pear. I'll give you that. Yeah.
Yeah, I smell a lot of pear. I actually, when I first smelled this, or nosed it, I should say, when I first nosed it, I smelled a lot of like crisp green apple. And then after I tasted it and then smelled it again, it morphed into a pear, which was really nice. And that experience was kind of cool because I'm very new to all of this, but it was really a lot of fun.
You getting cinnamon?
Yeah. See, that's what I'm getting a lot more of the spice and cinnamon out of it
Are you getting cinnamon?
than pear.
Now this,
So
this
I'm not saying pear's not there.
I said cinnamon. Yeah,
there's
I
some
didn't like
cinnamon
it.
pieces. Yeah, not much, just a little bit. But by far, this is my favorite dram of the night. This is delicious.
Maybe I'll give the cinnamon note
don't
that
know
I'm
about
getting to
that.
the sandalwood character they're saying. I might be able to
Yeah.
say that.
I love this. It's very oaky. It's got a better blend of spices than the other ones are. I feel like are a little disjointed. This one is a really good blend, very rounded.
Yeah, I think it was one of Chris's favorites too. It was definitely the bottle that drained the fastest.
I think this has got more maltiness.
You're not
to
supposed to
it.
share
There's
these
definitely more malted barley in this. That's for sure.
I really like this one. It's the closest to my world of Scotch to me.
Yeah. So this is meatier. It feels like
Mm-hmm.
more full-bodied. Steak and potatoes kind of whiskey.
Yeah. This is the one so far of the three that we've had tonight. This is the one you're going to mistake for Scotch right off the bat.
Yeah, for sure.
I would probably agree with you on that. I mean,
If you
now,
want-
granted, Scotch has this huge range, so any of these could be Scotch.
I
Right,
wish we
but
had
if you
more.
like-
We got a bottle here. I want to pour this in a tasting one night when it gets another Scotch and
No,
tell you.
nobody will be able to.
I don't
tell.
think you'll know. I mean, I think it's the closest resemblance to a Scotch we've had yet. Like the other ones, you'd be like, "That's not Scotch. There's something else.
There's something
There's
weird.
something
about
going
that.
on with it." This one is. It'd be hard to defer. I mean,
So-
it really would.
What was the price point on that bottle, you guys?
They were all pretty close in price
Yeah.
range. They were right around $60, $70 after the conversion.
Okay.
Mm.
And for those of you who didn't pick up on it, we just killed a zebra.
Oh, man down.
And
You
down.
guys got a couple backups though, right?
What's that?
You got a couple backups in the bunker, right?
Oh, yes.
If not, you got
yeah.
family that can ship it over, I hope, for gosh sake.
This actually has a much better body than
Yes.
the second one, the yellow cap.
But I think you mentioned it, or maybe Mark did. I wonder if it's kind of Glenmorangie-esque with a bass line that goes up. Because I feel like there are hints of the first one in here too, like a foundational, from their bass line that they just mature up maybe, like Glenmorangie 10 all the way up.
Yeah. So what's the difference between them? Because this has so much more body. Well, this number one is 46%. That helps.
Yeah, there's a wee bit of dark chocolate.
It's
there.
got it can't be chill filtered. All right, there's no way this is chill filtered. It feels too thick. I would be surprised if the yellow is not, or if the yellow is not chill filtered.
I just feel like this.
Like
I feel like it's a family thing. I feel like there's a little bit of that first one in here, but this one's just more matured, more.
I agree.
More
better
time,
whiskey.
better whiskey.
Well, I mean, to me, I think there's a lot of interesting conversations to be had with Frederick, with the distillery.
Yeah.
Just by looking at the pictures, you guys, when you showed pictures of the bunker and you were talking about it, Krista, I see those casks, and right off the bat, I'm going, look at those wee bitty casks.
They're tiny
They're
little
so little
things.
cute.
It's
I just
crazy.
want to hug them.
And how often
right?
do they reuse them? I mean, that's the kind of thing.
Yeah,
With
so
that
there's
small volume.
much difference going on there, right? It's like, what in the world?
Smell that.
But I think to me, this one definitely is hitting home.
No, I like that one a lot. That's my favorite. I do like the first one. The Sean Connery. Sean Rock. I like the spiciness of this one. It has a lot of potential. But so far, that orange,
I'm getting like menthol
man,
in it.
it's really good.
Yeah. All right.
Let's move on.
We can do this last one, or we got time?
Yeah, we got time.
Sounds like it's thundering
It
outside.
does sound like the dog's going crazy upstairs.
Your dog is dying.
All right.
He's
you gonna
dying.
clean that, or what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Oh, we have a zebra
All right,
down.
we're speed dramming.
All right, hang on.
Ready?
Okay.
So do y'all have
I'll
a
get it.
favorite of all these so far? Wesley, Krista?
So this is Mac.
This is Mack. Yeah,
Mac.
Mack.
Yeah, my favorite
No.
is the Brooks whiskey.
Which one is that? The orange?
That's the
That's
yellow.
yellow.
Yellow, okay.
Labeled on your sheet there.
Now, I wish I would have known you were going to put that up there and scream like that, Krista, because I would have had Drew cue up "Return of the Mac." That's what I felt when I saw it. I was like, dang.
Let's
You
pull a dram cam
lied
up here
to
and
me.
take a look at these samples real quick here.
Yeah,
So we got this. So there's definitely some color. So this is the first one. Definitely lighter. You can see there. Actually,
So that one is the Brook whiskey, Brook whiskey here. So yeah, definitely very light in color. The next one in the center
Our
is
favorite.
the Svenskak. So that's got a little bit of color, but this one on the last,
darker.
the Mac, is much darker. Much
This one's got nut on it. This is like hazelnut or something. it's green
and
one.
even do we have an ABV on the Mac?
40% for that one.
Yep.
Oh,
It's
it's
a
40%.
Wow.
That's
There,
gotta be
on my
chocolate.
hands, I get like a hazelnut or something.
I can smell it over here. Holy cow.
You get
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
that's weird. So this smells like new make to me.
this smells like new make to
It
you.
does.
It does to me too.
this actually.
Oh wow.
Unique.
It do.
that we
It do.
actually for.
It do smell like new make.
Sorry, what, Krista?
This is the closest to the new make that we smelled on the tour in terms of like the overall nosing profile. This is as close as you can get.
So why
It
is
smells
it
like new
darker
make.
though? That's the thing. Are they coloring it?
Well, I
Well-
think honestly that has to do with the casks and the type of wood that's used in the maturation process. Now, they did mention at one point that they do swap out casks. So they will do like a couple of years in one type of cask and then finish it out in like a sherry
Okay.
or something
I
of
can see
that
that.
kind of nature. So that would inherently, to my understanding, add to the coloration of the whiskey overall.
Well, and let's be honest, it doesn't. They probably watered down before they bottled, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like it sat in a cask to get to this strength. So who knows how they got to the coloring? I don't know. Do you know, Wes? We talked about it earlier, but is this are they across the board? Do they claim non-chill filtering and no color adding across a distillery wide, or is it by bottle? Do you know?
I'm pretty sure it's across the board. I'd have to double check that with Frederick, but I'm pretty sure it's across.
Yeah, that's a question I want to ask him. And not to say I don't believe it. It's just in general, usually when a distillery bottles below 46%, especially at the 40, 41%,
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
they're chill filtering. Otherwise, that the liquid just clouds,
Clouds.
and they don't want that in their bottle because people that don't know better will say that's a bad whiskey. when-
Well, this definitely is not clouded.
and yeah, that's not clouding. So I'm just
It's
curious.
40 what?
40
But man,
40%.
that nose is just
You know, I
To
get,
me,
I get
this is the most similar to like something you can get in the U.S. easily. Is probably one of the light Glenmoe ones, like
I
Glenmoe.
would agree. It's light.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
palate is better than the nose.
it's basically
Ooh.
vanilla cream, marshmallow,
No.
pineapple. And
No.
that's what I'm getting on the nose.
no man. This is like fresh cut. This is like fresh cut straw grass.
I'm
Yeah,
not
I
get-
can
I'm
get
not getting
there.
the grass.
I could get that too. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, now it is still a single malt, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
They're all
Man,
They're all single malt.
okay, so it drinks 40%.
It drinks totally 40%.
Yeah, it goes down easy.
But it's a very smoky palate to me.
You
at
think
least.
so?
I think it's very smoky.
I got like an orange creamsicle.
Yeah, I'm not getting much smoke.
Yeah, there's
personally.
not smoke on that.
I'm also foodie, so
So let me look for smoke.
I don't know if you're gonna
you
find it.
will
I
find
don't
it
see
on
it
the
in there.
nose. Honestly, I don't even find it on the nose. I find it on the back of the palate, like in the back of my throat.
You might be mistaking that for pepper.
Hmm.
Might be pepper. Could be pepper.
Because I get pepper on the palate and the finish. I mean,
All right, I put a couple drops of water on this. I know at 40%, I probably shouldn't have, but I really think that it needs it to help it. I think it needs to
I mean,
pull
we've
some
already
character.
added a bunch of water
I mean,
to it.
it honestly tastes like it smells. It's pineapple vanilla on the palate for me too, with pepper finish.
I think the palate
So,
is better than the nose.
Let's be clear. According to the notes we have, right off the bat, it says Mac, or I think you said Mock.
Muck.
Great in cocktails. Great in cocktail. I can definitely
Yeah, I can see
this.
that for sure.
Definitely much more of a cocktail. I don't see myself drinking this neat that often.
Don't put water on it.
I just did.
Don't put water on it.
Yeah, I'm not as. This doesn't have it. We'll let it drop.
All right, so to wrap it up, I think that it's interesting.
No shit.
What? Water, right?
Water on
Don't
it.
put water on it. I think so far, I think my favorite has definitely the is it Sven Eck, whatever,
Oh yeah, man.
For sure.
Baby.
by a lot. And then I would definitely like their Stjärnrök.
I gotta go back to the Strong Rock.
That's good. And
Good
then
news, we got some of that.
I know.
I'll go with green, and then I'll go orange after that. So, but interesting what they're doing over there. I mean, kudos. I'm glad they're starting something. Good
I'm
for them.
going orange, yellow, Stjärnrök. That's how we originally pronounced it, I think.
You like the yellow better than
Kron.
the
How do you get Kron out of
Google says
STRY?
Google says
Don't bust my
Stjärnrök.
chops. I don't freaking know.
Google Translate.
If
So
it were in Polish, I would have got it
So
right.
my wife's a French teacher, and she can always tell
Oh,
when people are
boy.
using Google Translate.
So distribution issues aside, because of everything has to go through the government there, the smaller casks you could actually buy or craft one yourself. You know, so a 30-liter barrel. You can kind of tell them how you want to create it, if you want it peated or not, or what kind of finish you want on those casks. So that's an interesting avenue. So maybe for a couple grand US,
That is interesting.
something unique to
Yeah.
you.
So all the barrels start about 2,000 US dollars. And then they go up from there as you're adding things, you're modifying your recipe, etc. But it's certainly, honestly, it's something to consider.
I'm telling you right now, if we can get this, we'll do a GoFundMe. Y'all can get in with us. If they can start with the orange, we'll add a little bit of Scotch for Dummies flair to it. It could be a pretty damn good bottle.
Yeah, there's
Put
there's
this- put
potential
this on
there.
the cam.
I definitely they're making good whiskey, obviously, and they're how long have they been
Oh,
around now?
whatever.
Since 1999.
Yeah.
So let's
Right.
be honest with you, they're a staple, right? They're not going anywhere,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, they're
high
doing good
volume.
stuff.
and very happy that you're putting us in contact with
Yeah, that's
Frederick
good.
Krista, and excited
Make it-
about having him on the show and talking to him and getting into some of the technical
Yeah,
nuts and
yeah,
bolts of the
totally.
distillery. And who knows, man? Maybe we buy one of those little casks. I don't
Why
know,
not?
Wes.
Yeah.
You're the financial guru. Help us out, brother.
Hey,
Um,
Richard, thank you for the super chat.
Thank you,
Appreciate that.
Richard. Cheers.
Yeah, Rich. Thank you.
Virtual dram.
Fun. I really appreciate you guys, thinking of us and sending us the
Yes.
whiskey and allowing us to do this. It's
Yep.
it's the next best thing to us being able to be there ourselves, to be honest with you.
Well, and one of the things we want to do is we definitely want to explore things. We got on Japanese whiskey. I definitely want to explore that. Irish and Scotch is our favorite, but this is cool. I mean, I never thought about drinking Swedish before. Thank you so much for
Yeah, you're welcome.
giving it to us and letting us explore it with you.
So we need to find some American single malts too.
Well, I'll tell you what, we got to
Yeah,
lead
probably.
on some Canadian single malt that you're going to be excited about, brother.
Woo-wee.
Canadian single malts.
I'm just
It
saying,
could be good. I like single
We know
malts.
you like the
don't put your
Canadian.
nose up until you
I
try
like
it, brother.
Canadian. I don't like Canadian whiskey generally.
This was fun. And honestly, I'm glad we finally got into the samples
Yep.
because I found one that I liked a lot. You really like that one? Good for
It's
you.
got
I
so
mean,
many better layers. Yeah, it's good.
all in all, it was a fun experiment.
It's fun.
It's fun to go through.
I enjoyed it.
It's still good
It's
whiskey.
different, but I enjoyed it. It was cool to experiment. And thank you so much. And by
Hey,
the way,
wait.
congratulations. so
Right.
much.
Do you have the picture of the Northern Lights that he popped the question on?
I don't know if it's in that picture.
Is it
Did
that
you
list?
not put the? Did you
Not
not put
that
the
I
picture?
can pull it up right
You
quick.
can pull it up.
Come on,
Oh,
can
yeah.
we at least see the picture of
We
Wes
gotta
doing the
see
duty,
that.
man? For
No,
all the
I
guys
don't
out
have- I
there.
don't have one of him on his knee, unfortunately. But
Yeah, it was just us there.
yeah, it was
That's
literally.
fine.
If you guys are looking for a background to drop the big question on, that special lady of yours, if you haven't done it already, we'll show you a backdrop that you need to find. Just put this one on the green screen.
Oh my god!
I mean, come on,
Look
man.
at that.
What the heck?
That's
Are you
crazy.
kidding me?
That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
If
That's
you want to
cool.
increase your odds of her saying yes, just go
Just
here.
normalize the background,
Yeah,
you're good
just
to
go to
go.
Sweden and make sure it's a clear night and the full moon and stars, and
Snow.
maybe you have a 10% chance of seeing the Northern Lights.
Oh,
20%
bottle of champagne. That is crucial.
Oh, jeez.
Yep, that helps.
No, you guys, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys doing this for us, coming on the show and putting yourself out there and coming online. Krista, we'll see you on and around behind the scenes of Scotch for Dummies.
Yep.
Wes, we'll see you in, I don't know, an hour and a half.
All right.
Hey, make sure you guys hit the like button on your
Yep.
way out, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yep.
Love you too. Hey, everybody. Thanks
Cheers,
for
everybody.
joining.
Go.
See you guys
Oh.
next Thursday.
3,
Cheers.
2, 1.